But now we're going to talk about AEW. We're going to talk about AEW. One of the things that popped up first, Malachi Black was removed from the AEW roster page as of Monday morning, which usually signifies that a wrestler is no longer with the company. PW Insider reports that Black is now a free agent with his AEW contract having expired yesterday. It's been expected for several weeks that Black would be departing AEW. He has not wrestled for the promotion since November 2024, and his former House of Black faction members Brody King, Buddy Matthews, and Julia Hart recently split off into their own group, with Black gone from AEW programming. Now that he's no longer under contract with AEW, a return to WWE looks likely for Black. Dave Meltzer reported last month that there had been discussions regarding Black within WWE Creative. There was also talk from WWE that he was expected there when his AEW contract expires, Meltzer wrote. That's been the case for a while, but evidently there has been talk in WWE Creative about him at late. So, this was a long time coming. Here's the thing. Look, I'm going to be upfront. I have always had a Malachi Black, Aleister Black, Tommy End soft spot. Shoot me. Like that. What do you want from me? I've always had a soft spot. When he came into AEW after being fired, I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, I didn't understand why he got fired in the first place. And then when he got brought in and, was set up with Cody in the Codyverse, having Cody letting him beat the piss out of him to get him over. And I'm like, oh, this might be interesting. And then things sort of fell apart. I don't know if Mal wanted to do, spooky stuff and wanted to do teleportations and wanted to do, all this stuff that he's really into. And Tony was like, nah, I don't want you doing that. We can give Tony Khan a lot of shit. Okay. We can really give him a lot of shit for a lot of things. But outside of that one time with Matt Hardy, right? He has never been into the spooky shit, and he's never allowed it. Remember, he did the spooky stuff. Do you recall this? One time when they were, this was in the pandemic era, and they showed Matt Hardy in the arena, right? They had the empty Daly's place, and they had Matt Hardy like in the stands, and he was blinking in and out of. He was blinking ever so closer to the ring and be like, boop, boop, boop. Remember that? And Tony Khan after that was like, we are never doing that again. They're like, we'll give it a shot. We'll see, pandemic wrestling. And I don't blame anyone for trying stuff out. But they did it at one time. And Tony Khan slapped the table and was like, nope. 'Twas the first, 'twas the last. Or as that, there's also a Cheap Trick song. You were the first, you'll be the last. What was the rest of the lyrics? It doesn't matter. No. Well, who cares about Cheap Trick? They were big in Japan, though. Anywho, yeah, I mean, look, there's been so many stories. Like Malachi Black's, his entire presence in AEW for the better part of his tenure there is, when is he leaving, right? When is he on his way out? When is he going back to WWE? He asked for his release. He's taking some time off to recalibrate. He's not really departing. No, he's fine. He's not injured. Yet, it was so exhausting. So incredibly exhausting. Someone in the Discord today asked me, said, Warren, what do you think is the main reason why Malachi Black didn't work out in AEW? And I flat out said ego. I think it's ego. I think his own self-worth got in the way. I think he's one of these. He's absolutely one of the WWE guys who came in thinking that he was going to rule the roost because he came from the real wrestling promotion, and he was a real wrestling star. And ended up sucking eggs. No, but he ended up not contributing and not being a productive member of the locker room, and et cetera, et cetera. So, the one thing that I did mention this with the WWE releases, because I feel like a lot of, outside of Sonya Deville, they were all released, right? And I think probably a lot of them didn't want to. But in the case of these three men that we are going to talk about, I think all of them wanted to be gone. And I think they're all thankful that they're gone. I think they're all going to be happy and better off moving forward. And ultimately, that is extremely healthy. That's very healthy. And that doesn't get talked enough about in pro wrestling because, there's so many kids and children on, who watch wrestling now and go on Twitter and who don't understand anything, that they just go tribal about it, when in fact it is the healthiest thing to do. Go off, explore other options, try other things out, build your worth at the same time, and just move around. Mobility is key. It's crucial. It's clear. It's so good. It's really healthy for pro wrestlers to do that. And, we're gonna get the contingent of, oh, what a huge L for at least one guy. And to a degree, I do not disagree. But I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, oh boy, what a huge L that Malachi Black is gone. That's because the wrestling scene is what it is, right? If wrestlers could move around easier rather than being squirreled away into catering, not doing anything, it would be better for everyone. I think it would be better for the wrestlers to begin with. And I think it can't harm the other companies. It can't, whatever, right? But, the fact that there are two major companies and there is a talent war, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise, the companies will react this way. They will say, no, you stay put. You'll stay put until I tell you can go. And then, let's continue on from Malachi Black. We heard that Miro and Ricky Starks had been removed from the AEW roster page. PW Insider reported Monday that Miro and AEW reached a mutual agreement, which resulted in the Redeemer parting ways with the wrestling brand. It was previously reported in September that Miro had requested his release from the promotion. Miro had seen a lessened presence on AEW TV in recent years, notably not working any matches in 2024. Starks is similarly asked to leave the promotion before, per reports. Just last month, word got out that he had reportedly been denied a release in the past and was expected to stay on board the company until spring. So that was what we heard of. Then later on today, bam! Miro and Ricky Starks released from AEW. And releases in AEW do not happen very often. On Monday, PW Insider reported that AEW and Miro had come to a mutual agreement on his release from the company. It was also noted that Ricky Starks no longer appeared on the company roster page. Our own Dave Meltzer has since confirmed both Miro and Starks have been released from AEW. Of course, we're reading this from the Observer Figure 4 Online, in case you're wondering, because when I say our own Dave Meltzer, that's Dave Meltzer doesn't work for me. Yet. Miro publicly requested his release in September and has not wrestled since World's End on December 30, 2023. Starks, who has been absent from AEW programming since March 2024, reportedly asked for his release last month but was denied. Malachi Black is also no longer listed. Deep dub doop. Miro debuted in AEW as Kip Sabian's best man in September 2020. He won the TNT Championship in 2021, but was used sparingly in 2022 and 2023, and not at all in 2024. Starks debuted for AEW in June 2020 and is a former FTW and AEW World Tag Team Champion. So this is clearly the biggest news here. Not even the Miro stuff, but we can talk about Miro first. Miro is just not happy. Again, like Miro's another guy who I think expected to, just, I I think it's another guy who was expecting to come in and have everyone fawn over him and get pushed instantly. And instead, what happened is he had a really good run. Like you said, 20, from when he won the TNT title in 2021, he had a good run after that. The Redeemer stuff, I think, was universally praised. I think everyone really liked that. He had a good little match with Eddie Kingston as well. There was a lot to love out of this. And it was really good. His run as TNT champion, I think, was really, really good. And after that, I guess, he thought he'd be slated for better and bigger things. Being slated for mid-card acts by Vince McMahon all your career, move on somewhere else and you're like, well, I'm going to be a world champion here because everyone sees it except Vince. I wouldn't have objected to a world championship run for Miro, don't get me wrong. I don't know if that would have been a great idea, but there's a lot worse you could do. So yeah, this is a guy who was miserable. There's a guy who was just miserable to the point that I don't know if it's related, but or maybe the fact that he divorced Lana CJ again was probably maybe that added to the misery. Those are not fun things to have to deal with in your career, not going the way you want. But yeah, this guy, look, you can't complain that he's been gone, that he's gone now. And the most important point I want to make here is that Miro is a demonstration that movement is good in pro wrestling. That we was just talking about, right? He comes into the company, does his intro, has a really great run at TNT, as the TNT title, and that should have been it. And then it's like, yeah, you know what? Let's head on up. Or maybe Tony Khan is like, Miro, you were great. I think that's the ceiling. I think I'm good. And Miro goes, all right, fine. And goes off somewhere else. Like if there were that kind of fluid mobility between promotions, we wouldn't be having these conversations to begin with. And I think a guy like Miro his run would have been much more fondly remembered, right? But no, it's things are a lot more complicated and twisted and political, and it's not that fun. It's really not that fun. So I think it's a shame that his results ultimately will always be covered with this feeling of malcontent, of being a malcontent, I should say, because I thought he was good in AEW, but clearly was not what he signed up for. So, and that leads us to Ricky Starks, who is finally gone. And I am so happy. I am so glad it's done. You have no idea how happy that there is a resolution finally to the Ricky Starks ordeal. And this is something that online wrestling fans can finally move on from. I was so tired of the constant barrage of nonsense every time something Ricky Starks related would pop up. The slate is clean. He's going to WWE, as many people expected. And that's fine. Again, it's healthy. It's healthy. Now, am I sad to see Ricky Starks go? Do I think the company has suffered by not putting Ricky Starks on TV? I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm not denying, and I don't want to seem like I'm suddenly coping here, because I'm absolutely not denying that Ricky Starks has star power, extreme star quality, great promo skills, which is his forte, and then incessantly interesting part of AEW programming. Now, that got railroaded for a couple of reasons, whatever pushes he was in, the neck injury, the CM Punk nonsense, despite the fact that he got an incredible Bryan Danielson match out of it all, okay? I understand that feuding with CM Punk it's another level. It's something different, right? Will he be able to have his little feud with CM Punk? Maybe they can feud over a charm bracelet. Who knows? Or other items of jewelry. Who knows? They'll find something creative, right? So, I'm not going to pretend that he doesn't have potential or that I don't like him. I do a lot. But I don't know what to tell you when it comes to whether I'm upset that he's gone or not. For all the time that he's been gone, there is nothing that had me sitting there pulling my hair out saying, why isn't Ricky Stark on TV saving the promotion? Like, that hasn't happened once. Because he's, again, good and all, but hasn't created that looming of a shadow over AEW where it's like he's not on TV and you're like, something's missing. It's not like Kenny Omega, where you're like, Kenny Omega hasn't been around for all of 2024, and you're like, God damn, where the fuck is Kenny Omega? Why does he have to be on death's door? This company needs you, Kenny, You understand the difference what I'm putting down here? Maybe Ricky Starks could have hit some highs in AEW, perhaps. And I don't have issues believing that because he has the talent. Was he underpushed? Maybe a little, but again, between the neck injury, between the CM Punk nonsense, which is, it's its own beast in and about itself. There's a lot of things that happened that weren't his fault. And to a degree, not the company's fault. And I'm not talking about CM Punk here. Was he lacking in opportunities? Look, he feuded with MJF, feuded with Chris Jericho. Was supposed to feud with CM Punk, feuded with Bryan Danielson as a consolation. OG Willikers. It's not as if he was fighting nobodies. You know what I mean? So it's not as if he didn't have the opportunities. They were given. Some worked. But ultimately, a lot of stuff didn't happen. And again, most of it is not necessarily even his fault. So in the interest of healthiness, I think this is a theme here, of health, he goes off to WWE, tries out the pastures there, and see how things go, right? Now, the thing here, I see a lot of people in our chat saying WWE is the spot for him. He's going to thrive there. I'm going to tell you, the closest comparison right now that you could make in regards to Ricky Stark in WWE is LA Knight. And they kind of, they're doing stuff with him, but it's not exactly, LA Knight isn't exactly the hot commodity he was in 2024. Right? Was it 2024? When did he debut? 2023? People still like him. They like to do the LA Knight chants and all that. It's fine. He does the Slim Jim. He snaps into them and whatnot. But, and Ricky is, he's a good little pro wrestler. He's not the guy who is going to crank out the 5-star matches, and that's not his style. It's not who he wrestles for. It's not for people like me. That's fine. So, but he's got good work. He'll be able to live up to the WWE working standard. I'm not saying that he's going to get buried for not being able to work. All I'm saying is that pound for pound, a close comp is LA Knight, and look at where LA Knight is now on the card. And this is another guy that I knew. I'd been saying that for years about Eli Drake. This guy in WWE, he'll never put a microphone down. And the more he talks, the more he'll get over. And it'll be the same with Ricky. It's going to be different in the sense that they're going to have a plan and he's going to stick to the plan. And whether he's getting super over or not, unless lightning strikes and he turns into a Daniel Bryan, Becky Lynch type of situation and he becomes truly undeniable, I don't know what his, I don't think his ceiling is as high as people think. I think he's going to be a nice, comfortable mid-carder there. But I am absolutely excited and enthralled at the idea of him proving me wrong. And by the way, being a strong, competent mid-carder, there's nothing wrong with that either. There's just nothing wrong. And you can look at this okay, just to wrap it up for Ricky Starks, I think he is a missed opportunity for AEW. I think there are things that happened that were out of Ricky's control, AEW's control again, to a limit, that stunted whatever growth he had. I have no clue what happened backstage to sour relations to the point that they were, okay? Because I do know the relationship is terribly sour between the parties. I don't know what happened to get to that point, but we got to that point, and this is where we're at now. And I think it's good, healthy for him to move on, and I wish him the best of luck in that Shark Tank, which is WWE. Because if you think people don't constantly maneuver in politic to keep their spots and keep people down, if you think this is, a let's work together, hurrah, go team locker room, with you, you got another thing coming. This is like, there's too much money. There's too much money for this to be an ensemble cast of everyone pulling for each other. That's not it. Which leads me to this point here, where now Triple H, old Paul, is bringing all these people in, right? He's bringing more and more of these. He's bringing in the AEW cast-offs into WWE, right? We did the Penta thing, Jade some time back. We got, the minor scrubs in NXT. We got Ethan Page and Pillman Jr. And I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. And then he's bringing back Malachi Black, most likely bringing in Ricky Starks, most likely bringing back Miro. Now, again, the question must be asked. Is Triple H going to do the exact same thing as Tony Khan, where he's just going to bring in guys from the outside and set aside other guys? Take the AEW cast-offs as some chest thumping to go, I like Vince, conquered all, and they all will work for me, kind of thing, right? Remember when Vince said that? They all end up working for me. There you go. And Triple H is just a chip off the old block. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So if we have Triple H right now doing that, doing exactly what I said Tony Khan should not do with these WWE releases, and Triple H is doing that, you have to ask yourselves the same questions. If he brings in all three of these guys, and I'm not saying he will, but there's a very good chance. If he brings in all three of these guys, whose spot do they take? Whose spot do they take? Do you think that Ricky Starks comes in and Carmelo Hayes continues to get TV time? Just throwing names. Do you think they continue to push Braun Breaker if they've got Malachi Black, Aleister Black back? Name your favorite WWE mid-carder. Chad Gable. Do we continue to follow the ongoing adventures of Chad Gable if Miro is back? I'm just saying. The same thing can happen on the other side. And the thing is that, and actually Kristen just pointed out in the chat, this is exactly what I wanted to talk about. You know, Santos Escobar is a great example. Andrade is another great example. You know, Penta is really happy right now. And why wouldn't he? He's coming in, you know, he's number 2 in the Royal Rumble, and he's got the pyro, and people are doing the hand gestures, and he's really excited right now. But what happens when Malachi Black lands? What happens to Penta's spot? You know, you just have to wonder. Or who won't give up their spot for either of these 3 guys coming in? Because one of the things that creates tension in the locker room is when you have someone coming in from the outside and is pushed into a spot that the locker room, a lot of the people in the locker room have been fighting for, but then they instantly get it when they walk through the door, like Penta. Do you think sincerely that Penta waltzed in, and whoever was getting a push or getting the time and was told, well, you know, not this week, you think that person was like, hell yeah, zero miedo, buddy? No, they were pissed off. They were angry. It's the same thing. Like, who lost their spot when Tony Khan brought in Ricochet? Someone lost their spot. Someone is upset that Ricochet is in that spot when they feel it should have been them. Maybe they had been earmarked for it or whatever the fuck. Or Bobby Lashley, right? Why wouldn't you want to hang on to your spots like that? And so in WWE, it's the same thing. You know, like I said, it's not all rainbows and sugar candy. I don't know what I was going to say. I think I was going to say sugar cones, but did that make sense? Maple cones, that makes sense. It's not all rainbows and maple cones in the WWE locker room. Everyone's fighting for a spot. Everyone wants to keep a spot. Everyone wants to keep their spot. That's normal. That's the cost of doing business. They don't want outsiders coming in taking their spots. I don't think anyone is like jumping for joy that Ricky Starks is coming in. Ricky Starks, who is also Cody's boy. And Cody's going to be throwing some weight around. Again, who are we keeping down then? Who is not getting the spot? So I'm just saying, look, all I'm saying is that, I understand that for the fan base, for the vibes, for the fan base, the vibes, for the optics, that's the word I was looking for. It's a good thing for WWE to clamp down on guys who have left AEW and maybe leaving, in not so great terms. I think it's good vibe. It's good optics, right? But it comes at a price. If the locker room is going to accept this or not. And chances are they're going to be pretty upset about it. Just saying. So there you go.